Hello friends, as the first part of this TPA and second part we are just continuing after this for the third part of TPA, and the second part we have just completed for reversion and reminder that are the important definitions of this act. So हम लोग अभी बाकी दो important तीन जो terms है definitions, contingent interest, vested interest and vested position, we will just complete in this video. So we should know the terms in this act, what it means. Knowing the sections and knowing the different terms, it's very important. It makes difference. And in details, we'll find out this and we'll discuss about this. The act contains, as we have discussed previously, 38 chapters and 137 sections. That detail will continue after these small videos of 10 or 12 minutes, and we'll come to know how the act is so good in that sense. It is describing all parts of immovable property and how the act is dealing with it. So the act contains 38 chapters and 137 sections. This is a repetition, but we should know about this thing. The act is applicable primarily on transfer of immovable property. This is a repetition, but I am just repeating it for the sake of knowing the acts thoroughly. And this is the basic things we should be aware of. Transfer of Property Act, which is touching each and every person's life. हम लोग के सब लोग के जिंदगी का बहुत हिस्सा है कि ये प्रॉपर्टी खरीदना, बेचना, either you give it on lease or any other form, gift. So this act is very describing the parts, and we'll go for that in next videos. But for that time being, we should know the basics of it. So transfer of immovable property from one living being to another, and that too is living person includes company, association, or body of individual, whether incorporated or not. The act excludes from its purview the transfer by operation of law, because it is not giving any revenue to the government. And as you know, this is the old act of 1882. The act is quite the British Raj time. Now it is almost 141 years for this act. But basically, they are targeting the revenue, and revenue is from the property only. And how the government gets properties revenue? From the stamp duty. And whenever any kind of transfer is done, the benefit, as the parties get, the third party in this is government, who is looking for the revenue in each and every transaction. So whenever there is a transfer by operation of law, the government is not going to get any revenue out of it. So that the act excludes from its purview the transfer by operation of law. So example is given here is as sales in execution, forfeiture, insolvency, inheritance, etc. These are the examples of operation of law. These are transfers by operation of law. But when it is from the living persons act, when they are dealing and transferring, the government is giving all the details, because of this act is specifying it neatly. Also, the act is applicable on property transfer by individual as well as by companies. So we'll go for the next slide. For the today's topic is of vested interest. And interest is said to be vested when it is not subject to any condition. Condition, कोई उसमें condition नहीं है. Precedent means when it is to take effect on happening of that event, which is certain. A vested interest is transferable and heritable. The word vested is used in two different senses. It may mean vested in possession or vested in interest. And when we are saying this vested in possession and vested in interest, we should know what it is. So vested interest has two things in it. The word is vested in used in two different senses as it is specified in this. So vested in possession, we'll just discuss. A right is said to be vested in possession when it is right to present possession of property. And the second part, as we are saying, it is a contingent interest when an estate is contingent when the right to enjoyment depends upon the happening of an event which may or may not happen. The contingent interest is not fixed. It is depending on the right to enjoyment depends upon the happening of an event. तो ये डिपेंडेंसी है contingent interest में right to enjoyment. There is a dependency on happening of an event which may or may not happen. So we'll just have a detailed discussion on this. Grounds of difference. So this is very important, and specifically there are difference I'm specifying in this video only and only for this difference of vested and contingent interest. Section 19 of Transfer of Property Act is specifying vested interest, and contingent interest section 21 of Transfer of Property Act. So the two sections are there, different sections, and the meaning is an interest is said to be vested when it is not subject to any condition precedent, as the previous slide says so. And this is specifically I am just giving the meaning of an vested interest is said to be vested when it is not subject to any condition precedent. Means when it is to take effect on the happening of an event which is certain. The event is certain. Vested interest, the event is certain. It is not like may or may not happen. So we'll just see the meaning of contingent interest, and estate is contingent when the right to enjoyment depends upon the happening of an event which may or may not happen. It is not fixed, it will happen like invested interest. So condition for vested interest is the condition involves a specified certain events, or certain events means an event that will eventually happen. The certain involves, the condition involves in case of contingent interest, the condition involves a specified certain which is not a certain event. So the specific condition involves a specified uncertain event. There is a chance of happening or non-happening of that particular event. तो कंडीशन दोनों की अलग अलग है. For vested interest, that event will eventually happen. Right of ownership. The ground of difference next is right of ownership. The right is created as soon as the interest is vested. And in case of contingent interest, there is a mere chance to be having the ownership right. So it is uncertain because it is depending, may or may not. That word is important in this case. For contingent interest, it may or may not happen. So next is death of transferee. In case of death of transferee, vested interest, we'll just see. Death of person who is having this interest will not have any effect over that interest as after the decease. The interest will vested in its legal heirs. So in case of contingent interest, death of transferee before getting the possession of the property will result in the failure of contingent interest. So this is very important. In case of contingent interest, date of transferee will effect and it will result in the failure of contingent interest. So it is not contingent, it is contingent. Please correct it. And the property will remain with the transferor. जो भी ट्रांसफरर है उसके पास ही रहेगी. Death of transferee, transferor and transferee, I think you should know. Transferor is the person who is transferring the property. So when you are talking about A and B person, the transferor is A and transferee is B. So if the person is dead, that condition we are talking about, तो ट्रांसफरर के पास ही रहेगी प्रॉपर्टी इन केस ऑफ कॉन्टिजेंट इंटरेस्ट. इट विल नॉट गो टू लीगल हेयर्स लाइक इन केस ऑफ डेथ ऑफ ट्रांसफरिंग. सो ए एंड बी में अगर बी का डेथ हो जाता है तो क्या होगा, इसका ये डिस्कस है. सो इंटरेस्ट विल वेस्ट इन बी's legal heir in case of vested interest, as it is certain, the property transfer is certain. But in case of contingent interest, the B's heir will not be getting the property because the transferor will have the property remain with the transferor only. So next point is transferable and heritable. Vested interest is a transferable and heritable rights, right, in case of vested interest. So transferable है या नहीं है उसके बारे में अगर सोचेंगे तो vested interest is transferable and heritable right. And for the case of contingent interest, it is a transferable right, but whether it is heritable or not, it depends upon the nature of such any transfer and the condition. So in case of contingent interest, it is a transferable right, but still whether it is heritable or not, it depends upon the nature of such transfer and the condition of such transfer. So nature and condition is very important in case of contingent interest. Transferable है दोनों में, but heritable है क्या नहीं है उसके बारे में बोलेंगे तो heritable or not heritable depends on the nature of such transfer and condition of transfer. So next point on the ground of difference we'll just discuss is the present right of enjoyment. तो vested interest के बारे में अगर बोलेंगे तो there is a present immediate right even when it is a enjoyment is postponed. So it is present and immediate right even when its enjoyment is postponed. Very simple. So in case of contingent interest, there is no present right of enjoyment. There is mere an expectancy of having such a right. So the property is still with the transferor. It is not going to get fixed. It is not may or may not. So may or may not is important and present right of important enjoyment है वो vested interest के हाथ में होता है. There is a right of present and immediate right. And the example we'll just have to know what is, because it's very easy to understand with the example. A professes to transfer the property X to B. A के पास एक property है और वो B को देना चाहता है. The property is X. When he attains age of 20. तो B का age जब 20 होगा तो B will get X property. There is a vested interest with B for the property of X. So definitely age of B will be 20 when you will get interest. So that is a fixed thing. A professes to transfer the property X. So in case of contingent interest, we are discussing the same thing. Example अगर देखेंगे तो A professes is decides. A professes to transfer the property X to B on the condition that he shall construct a well in his property. तो किस the condition is this. Condition क्या लिया है, उसके प्रॉपर्टी में अगर वो एक कुआं खोदेगा तभी ये प्रॉपर्टी बी का बनेगा. तो A is giving the property X to B on the condition अगर कुआं नहीं खोदेगा तो प्रॉपर्टी नहीं मिलेगी. And if he construct B shall get a contingent interest in the property until the condition is not fulfilled. So it is a precondition, prior condition to transfer that property. So it's very easy to understand whatever mentioned up here, present right, enjoyment, all the points are easy to understand. But in case of transfer and enjoyment of right, The example is very much good in this. We can understand B will get the property when he will be at the age of 20. And in case the death of B, so we have this option, death of transferee. Transferee is B. तो B अगर मर जाता है तो B का जो इंटरेस्ट है it will be based in his legal heirs. तो जो भी legal heir है B का, so before he attains age of 20, if he dies, तो बी का जो लीगल हेयर है उनको ये प्रॉपर्टी मिलेगी. इट विल नॉट रिमेन विथ ए, बट इन केस ऑफ कॉन्टिजेंट इंटरेस्ट दिस प्रॉपर्टी which is yet to be transferred, which is on the condition of will, as we have just discussed here, अगर वो कुआं खोदेगा तो प्रॉपर्टी मिलेगी. So this is the precondition. Unless he fulfills that, he will not get it. So this is contingent interest. So this video is a short video just to explain this, and we'll continue with all the parts of TPA in the next video. And the next part will be much easier and self-explanatory, but basics are necessary to understand, because the section and all reading and copying doesn't give you the clear idea of what it is. The provision should be known correctly. So for this reason, we are just have two videos on this doctrines also I mentioned in the last video, doctrines and sections, important sections. So we'll just go ahead with this in the next series. Thank you very much. Please like, share, subscribe.